Now let's talk about the inverse of what happened between that Arizona Cardinals beatdown of the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me just paint a picture for you. In just 28 days ago for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts was the clear MVP favorite. The Eagles were 10-1, the 6th overall defense in the NFL, number 1 rushing defense in the NFL, number 4 rushing offense in the NFL, number 4 passing offense in the NFL. They were 10-1. The Eagles are now 11-5. I was one of those people that was banging the drum for the Eagles. Listen, I've always said it's important. Don't just stay on opinions just to stay on opinions. When new things come out, when we see what happens, when we get new information, just like a lot of smart sportscasters out there, you should absolutely change your opinion. The dumbest thing you can do is stay with an opinion just to stay with an opinion. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I said at one point, was the team to beat after 11 weeks, and they were the team to beat. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were the team to beat in the NFL. And now, I'm flipping my opinion all the way on its head. The Philadelphia Eagles will be a one-and-done team in the NFL playoffs. You can't trust them. You just can't trust them. Jalen Hurts has regressed badly outside of yesterday, in which he was playing against 4th and 5th string cornerbacks who were letting up wide receivers like Julio Jones for touchdowns. The Eagles have regressed badly, and there's no leadership there. Jalen Hurts, people make jokes, but it's kind of true. He just pretty much says Instagram captions at his post-game pressers, is never really honest about what's going on. It's a little Russell Wilson with that aspect, where it's just too much rah-rah, not enough authentic things coming from your mouth. Nick Sirianni is still a child. He's acted like a child ever since he's been the head coach. He had a clunky first press conference. He hired 2 really smart coordinators to come with him in Jonathan Gannon, the now Arizona Cardinals head coach, and Shane Steichen, the now head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And you wonder how much was actually propping up that franchise. Because without JG, it's a bottom third of the NFL passing defense. It's a middle of the pack sacks in the NFL, coming off of 70 last year, sacked 1 time yesterday, 41 sacks through 16 games, 1 more game to go, 17 sacks last year through 17 games. And then the offense looks completely different this year. And it's mostly the same offense, you would argue better. DeAndre Swift is back there. He was better than the running back they had back there before, who name is escaping me, on the Carolina Panthers, Miles Sanders. DeAndre Swift was seen as a much better back than him. Jalen Hurts is there. The wide receivers, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, these are good wide receivers. The third wide receiver at times is Julio Jones, who we've seen in spurts can be a nice possession receiver or score more touchdowns in the Eagles yesterday that he had in his entire time as an Atlanta Falcon, it felt like. But the Philadelphia Eagles are moving backwards. And it seriously makes you think about guys like Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts, is he a top 5, top 6 quarterback like most of us thought he was? I saw Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl outplay Patrick Mahomes for 3.5 quarters. And I wonder, what happened to that guy? And now he's got a fat contract extension that there is no getting off of. And they're going to have to move some pieces around. It's not going to be that second-round draft pick contract in which you're allowed to have 2 elite weapons, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift, good offensive line, Kevin Byard back there on the defense, James Bradbury, you could afford to bring him back, although he is just a shell of himself. Darius Slay, you can have all those guys, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. You could have multiple of those guys, Hassan Reddick. Jalen Hurts' contract is going to kick in, and I am seriously considering if he's a top 10 quarterback without all those players. Because this year, he's easily been out of the top 5 quarterback conversation without Shane Steichen. So it makes you think, how much of that was Shane Steichen? Because Nick Sirianni, he's supposed to be an offensive head coach. I mean, he's more of a child. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, acts more like an adult than the head coach, Nick Sirianni, who's cursing out Chiefs fans as he's walking out. Act like an adult, dude. Act like an adult. Act like you've been there before. You can act like the hard Eagles, Philadelphia, East Coast head coach all you want. That's fine. That's a shtick. That sticks. They're going to eat that up in Philly when you're winning. But when you're not, you look like a complete buffoon. Complete buffoon. A.J. Brown not speaking with the media. This team is in complete turmoil. There's a ton of turbulence going on. And this Philadelphia Eagles team that was once 10-1 and at the top of the NFL, they're going to be a one-and-done football team if they're not careful. And at this point, regardless of who they play in the playoffs, I don't care if it's a home game or not, and it's looking like they won't have a singular home game in the NFL playoffs. Looks like the Dallas Cowboys are going to win that division now. They are going to lose to whatever team they go play. The Buccaneers would beat them. The Buccaneers gave them fits the first time they played. They're going to beat them this time around. Baker Mayfield has been playing better than Jalen Hurts. Mike Evans, the weapons, Chris Godwin, those match up to the likes of A.J. Brown or a Devonta Smith. Rachaad White's been good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the defenses are mostly comparable. And those defensive backs, that Eagles defense that was so stout last year, it is bad. It's bottom third of the NFL bad. And if they're not careful, and if they don't right the ship soon, and I don't think they will, they're going to be a one-and-done football team. And there's going to be a lot of questions in Philly. Is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is Nick Sirianni the guy? Is Howie Roseman the guy? He's going to get looked at as well. After what was seen as an awesome draft, and mostly yes, but the contract for Jalen Hurts at this point that's going to kick in soon, people are going to ask questions about that, although I wouldn't get rid of Howie Roseman. But Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, there's going to be serious questions in Philly if they do become a one-and-done playoff team, and I absolutely believe they will be a one-and-done team come January, come the playoffs.